So in the last video, I explained how Skookum has decided to be more proactive in our advocacy going forward. And I promised that I would explain our legislative agenda in more detail. So let's do that now. So there are three major items that we are working toward this year. There may be another bill or two that we'll testify in support of along the way, but for the most part, these are the three things we'll be focused on. They are, first of all, to direct and fund the Washington State Institute for Public Policy, WSIP, to study outcomes created by Skookum House and other related programs. Way back in 2014, a bill was passed that created a new program type called a Resource and Assessment Center, or a RAC for short. And that's the license that Skookum House holds. Now, there are two other license holders other than us in the whole state. And while I am thrilled that such a bill became law back then, that legislation has one major weakness in that it does not include any mechanism by which its effect will be measured. In the time we've been operating Skookum House, more than 400 children have stayed there, and we're only one of the programs in Washington State who are doing this work. So I estimate there's a test group, probably 1,500 to 2,000 children who have stayed at one of these programs. So it would be natural for us to have some questions about them, like those children, how are they doing? Are they more or less likely to be academically on track with their peers? Did they move more or less frequently than their peers in foster care? Did they reunify with their parents or find a forever home faster or slower than their peers? Now, I would speculate that a smooth transition into foster care results in better overall outcomes for the child. But we don't have to speculate. We can know all those things. That data exists. Someone just needs to look it up. We think that the best candidate for doing that is the Washington State Institute for Public Policy, or WSIP. So we'll be asking the state legislature to direct WSIP to measure outcomes for children who've been placed at a RAC or RAC-like facility. And if the report shows that kids who stay at a RAC are better off, then maybe all kids entering foster care should stay at a RAC before they go to a foster home. Or maybe, a RAC doesn't get better outcomes and we should be going about it differently. I don't know, but the point is we have the data that could answer all of those questions. We just need to use it. So we're asking the legislature to do so. And second, we are going to be working on a more flexible set of rules around Skookum House. There's some rules related to the RAC facility type, like Skookum House, which are unnecessarily restrictive, and we think they should be relaxed. Namely, volunteers at Skookum House are required to get twice as many training hours as foster parents do. And the rules around what kinds of children can stay at Skookum House are highly specific, meaning there are a lot of days when we are vacant, but children are being placed in hotels because we're not allowed to take them, even though we could and we'd be good at it. So we're asking for an increased flexibility in those rules. And finally, we are going to be supporting the Division of Children, Youth, and Families in their effort to modernize their child welfare database. So DCYF, that's the Division of Children, Youth, and Families, has asked for money to modernize their database, which holds all of the personal information for foster parents and foster children. The database they use now is called FamLink, and it is old. We, Washington State, bought it secondhand from another state. It was 10 years old then, and we've been using it now for, I think, 6 years. So it's a 15-year-old piece of software. Most software doesn't age quite that well at 15 years. Anyway, it's got some key weaknesses, like outside providers like Skookum can't get into it. If we need information from FamLink, we have to ask someone at DCYF to log in and get it for us, which is horribly inefficient. So we're going to be supporting DCYF in their effort to modernize their database. In particular, we're interested in making sure the new system has two specific things. First of all, that it would allow third-party access, so providers like Skookum, our staff can get into it and download the things we need and upload our case notes so that we don't have to keep duplicate records on paper. And second, it should include, in our opinion, an electronic foster parent application so that people who want to be foster parents can complete all their paperwork without printing or scanning anything, because seriously, it's 2018. So there you have it. That is Skookum's legislative agenda in the upcoming session. If these sound like things that should get done, it's only going to be possible if we are able to locate about 100 new monthly supporters. This work is funded by people who give in support of it. And, doing advocacy in this proactive, strategic, intentional way is new for us, and it takes more resources. So we're asking for about 100 more people who would be willing to make a pledge of monthly support. If you'd like to be one of them, visit skookumkids.org/give to make a pledge. Thank you in advance, and I promise to keep you updated as we move through the legislative session.